Aldo versus Bautista was one of the saddest fucking fights of the year. Joaquin Buckley, of all people, could be one fight away from a title eliminator, and if you didn't already have Alex Pereira in your top 10 fighters all time, now is the time to put him up there, because Jesus Christ. UFC 307 just happened last night, guys, and I'm going to be giving you my fights that I think should be made next for a few of the divisions that we got going on, a bunch of the fighters off the main card last night. We're just going to jump straight into it with Khalil Rountree. Who are we going to give this guy next, right? Because he totally just put himself on the map last night. I feel like going into this fight, Pereira versus Rountree, all we could talk about was how Rountree didn't stand a chance and all the advantages of Pereira and how it's going to be a really exciting fight, but it doesn't make a lot of sense, and Rountree's number 8, and Jesus Christ. Shut all of us up and gave Pereira his toughest test yet at light heavyweight, and arguably one of his toughest fights pretty much in mixed martial arts so far since his whole career. So gotta hand it to him. I said give him Jamal Hill next, as you could see on the screen. This was originally booked for UFC 303, but I think a lot of people kind of turn their heads like, oh, wow, really quick turnaround for Hill. Rountree kind of stepping up a bit quick here. But no, now is the time to make it. Hill's had some time to recover. Rountree obviously just put himself on the fucking map. This is a fun matchup, right? Not going the distance. I'm not saying if one of these guys wins, it really puts them in like title contentions, but it's a good win for each guy. Rountree sort of has like a Steve Erceg, Dominic Reyes-esque situation, hopefully without the losing streak part, but in regards to really competitive fight, you're kind of an unknownish guy, and then boom, you have a competitive fight with the champ, and then there we fucking go, you know? Rountree's a bit different in regards to he got finished, he got stopped, and this was a really fun fight. It was one of the best fights of the year. Round 4 itself was one of the best rounds of the year. It was fucking insane. I mean, I had Rountree winning rounds 1 and 2. Round 3, Pereira adjusted like the champion he is. He gets better as the fight progresses, so we really got to see that championship experience from Pereira. A lot of people think that he doesn't have good cardio. We just don't see it a lot, you know what I mean? But he knocked out Izzy in the 5th round, and he held his own against Blachowicz in a heavily grappling style matchup for 3 rounds. And altitude, and this fight was at altitude, you know what I mean? So, and Pereira just got better as the fight progressed, and Rountree fucking gave it to him. I cannot believe that Rountree gave a tougher challenge than Prochazka and Hill. So, but talking about the fight itself for Rountree versus Hill, Hill was talking a bunch of shit after the fight and doing all the yawning and shit. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up. Like, 2024 is the year where if you didn't have a problem with Jamal Hill, I'm sure by now you already have had one, at least. I feel like he's just pissing everybody off this year. I remember how I felt about Jamal last year. I was like, yeah, like he's pretty cool. Seen him on a few episodes of a podcast. Like, he's pretty dope. Seems like a chill guy. I like him in the cage. He's a fun fighter. Nah, dude, he's just been fucking clowning himself in every way. I think Rountree wins this fight. I would love for him to, but it's gonna be competitive. It's gonna be close odds for sure. Don't want to just get it confused. When you're thinking of Hill, you don't want to just get it twisted like he's not some elite top 5 fighter just because in the weight class, just because he got finished by the champ. You know what I mean? This fight itself, it's fun. All due respect to both guys in this fight. Like, it's going to be a banger. Makes a lot of sense. Again, it isn't going to move him closer to a belt, but it makes sense rankings-wise and matchup-wise. So, and give Rountree what he deserves. You know, I don't think he's going to really... I looked at the rankings today, and I really don't see them moving Rountree just up too much, if they move him up at all, just because of the names that are already on there. A lot of them, too, have fights coming up soon, so I don't see them really just moving Rountree up. I think they got away with doing that with Erceg because it's flyweight, and flyweight is flyweight, you know, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I say book this one for March or April. Makes sense to me. Up next, we gotta talk about it, bro. All right, we got to talk about Bautista versus Aldo, and more specifically, what do you do with Aldo? I say you give Aldo Dominic Cruz or Corey Sandhagen. I have 2 people up on the screen. I'm going to explain each one. I'm going to try and be quick about it. You can go 2 routes with this, right? One, you can give him Cruz, who is ranked number 14, so he's a lot higher up, and he really doesn't fight that much. It's pretty rare nowadays, especially. It's a legend versus legend matchup. It's one of those fights that shouldn't happen years ago, but it's happening now. It's like Jones versus Stipe, but it just hurts a lot less people's feelings, and it's more of like a fun fight. There's not really any stakes to it. It's more of just a legend versus legend matchup. Give Aldo, give Cruz kind of like a respectful fight, you know. But then I also have Sandhagen up here, who, listen. Dana was pissed about the Bautista fight. I was pissed about the Bautista fight. You were probably pissed about the Bautista fight. My point with this is the performance itself we'll get to when we talk about Bautista next, but it's not exactly something that I feel like you gotta put Aldo that far down the rankings for, have him fight that far down the rankings for. It's still Aldo. He's still a top 5 or 10 fighter of all time. And respect him for even taking a fight against Bautista in the first place. He kind of already had a younger prospect opponent-esque in May, recent as fuck, and Jonathan Martinez, he beat him. And instead of kind of moving up to a top 5 guy, he stays around the area of fighting prospects on win streaks. And now you have Mario Bautista, who gave us a stinker, especially that third round. I feel like Aldo shouldn't really be punished or looked at differently, like he's this worse version. You know, he just got held up against the cage for the whole fucking time, especially that third. So keep him still up in the upper-esque of the division. I say if you're going to pick anybody, do Corey Sandhagen. Sandhagen obviously just came off the loss to Umar. Sandhagen could be the type of guy to take it to the ground. You know, he has in the past a few times, but I don't think against a guy like Aldo, who has insane takedown defense and proved it once again last night. I mean, he made Bautista go, what, 0 for 8, 0 for 7 for all of his takedowns? I mean, this is crazy. Aldo reminds us every single time he fights, like, the insane level of competition that he provides to these guys. You know what I mean? In every regard. In the striking, with the takedown defense, with the cardio and the pace and the volume. I mean, he lost last night. I'm talking about him like he won, but you know what I mean? I don't know. Just a weird fucking fight. And if you want to keep Aldo in the upper-esque of the division, Corey just came off a loss. Now Aldo's coming off a loss. So this is going to be a primarily striking bout. It's going to be on the feet. It's going to be fun, explosive, dynamic, technical, precise, swift, any fucking verb, any Fantano verb you want to use in the book. It's a fun fight. I'd rather see Aldo versus Sandhagen just because I think you keep Aldo still up there with the top guys, and I just think it's a more intriguing and fun matchup. I'm a big Corey fan. But if you want to do Aldo versus Cruz as like a safety net, do a little legend versus legend bout, that makes sense too. I'm hurting for Aldo though. It sucks. But anyways, going on to Bautista. What are we going to do with him? What do you do with Mario Bautista, right? You give him Cheeto Vera. It kind of hurts because that performance last night, that win was a bummer. There's definitely been a lot more impressive wins, urgent wins. Look, I'm not just going to take everything away from Bautista because you beat Jose Aldo. That's so far from an easy thing to do, and now you have that huge win on your resume, your first really big win on your resume. And when you're in there 3 rounds and pressure's on and all Aldo wants to do is take your head off, and of course you're going to resort to the grappling. But it's like, I don't want to be that guy that's like, go watch kickboxing if you don't want to see grapplers grapple. Like, to an extent, like, I agree with that, man. You know, like, it's mixed martial arts. You got to incorporate the ground game. It makes it more interesting to see the strikers and all these different sorts of styles go at it and see which one gets on top. But we've seen grappling done in entertaining ways. We've seen it done ground and pound or executing finishes or advancing to submissions or like actually trying to ragdoll the guy. Like, you can make grappling exciting, but this smudge grappling, this just pressing against the fence, this stalling, Dana kept using the word stalling, like, that's really what it was. We saw in the Cesar Almeida fight how the ref, it was not the same ref, but the ref kept like breaking them up. And a lot of the times it was kind of unnecessary. But for this one, I mean, there were so many times you could have done it because Bautista was just clearly delaying it, trying to wait it out till the clock. Like at one point, the one time that the ref did step in to break up Bautista and Aldo, within fucking 2 seconds, he's shooting right back at it. And it's just, I'm not even trying to be that guy that, just because I really wanted to see Aldo win. I didn't have money on this one, thankfully. Jesus Christ, if I did, I would have been a lot more. I would have been even more pissed. But this fight, like, there hasn't been a fight in a while that has just made me just bummed at just watching it like this one has. It's been a while since it just, like, a fight has just hurt. And this one, man, like, if Bautista went out there and really, like, put on the pace, pressure, and volume in regards to not just holding them against the cage, not advancing, not doing anything, like, and Bautista was like at times kind of holding his own in the feet, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't have to go out there and give him the performance he did. So the fact that I'm saying give him Cheeto Vera, who is ranked number 7, so you're moving him up, I almost want to move this guy fucking, I don't want this guy to even fight in the rankings next, but I'm trying to be like, I guess, fair about it, you know, because you did beat Aldo, biggest win of your life. He finally has a name on his resume, but I don't know. The win just wasn't a good win. And Aldo was piecing him up. Bautista just couldn't get him down. 0 for 7 in his takedowns. 0 for 8, maybe? I don't know. Here, I can look at the stats, actually. 0 for 10. Fuck. Bautista was 0 for 10 for takedowns last night. I mean, Christ, dude. It's just like, and then you get rewarded on points for that because you held them against her. Like, it's not successful grappling. It's not a successful takedown. So why are you being rewarded for it? I mean, it's tricky because then what do you give Aldo points for? Like, avoiding it? I mean, I guess, yeah. Or defending it, I should say. I mean, fucking, yeah. Because it looks like you're doing something, I guess, if you just fucking aren't taking into consideration what's actually going on. Like, oh, he's holding him against there, so I guess that's something. Like, he couldn't get him down. I don't know how the fuck you would even score the third round, because there wasn't even enough to give Aldo the round, but it's like there wasn't enough for Bautista, so it's just one of those fuck situations. I honestly don't even know. It's just a bad win. I want to give him his flowers because he did have some Bautista. He did have some good moments, but it just wasn't a good win. Like, that was him really putting himself on the map and kind of just shit the bed. Made the boss unhappy, made the fans unhappy. But talking about this actual Bautista versus Cheeto, I guess it just makes sense because I'm trying to keep it pure, man. Whatever the fuck. I don't know. Even though I didn't think it's a good win, and I think Dana's going to reward this guy with somebody outside the top 15, even though he's ranked number 10 and just beat Aldo. All fair play to Dana, bro, on this one. Give him Muhammad Makayev, bro. Honestly, dude, I say, but if I'm trying to be fair, and I'm looking at it rankings-wise, I mean, you got the number 7 in Cheeto going against the number 10 in Bautista. Vera just lost to Figueiredo, and after that, he lost to O'Malley in a title shot. So Cheeto has to fight down, and Bautista on a 7-fight win streak, I believe, and just beat Aldo. He has to fight up. Bautista versus Cheeto. That's the fight to make next, I think. Up next, let's talk about Buckley. I would say give Buckley Usman. He called out Usman afterwards. A much better call out this time. I kind of fuck with Buckley. I pick and choose sometimes if I like him or not. I feel like it depends on the day, but I did not like that Conor call out. I was like, dude, what are you doing? It was an amazing win. Like, he just schooled Ruzaboyev, and then he goes out there and in his hometown, and he's calling out Conor. I'm like, Buckley. I'm rooting for you, bro. What the fuck are you doing? But then a much better call in Usman, and I think that's the fight to make. I was fucking scratching my head lately. I'm like, what do you do with Usman? You know, I was thinking to give him JDM while Shavkat gets the title shot, but I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what Usman's going to do. He hasn't fought this year. I don't think he is going to fight this year. I feel like we probably would have already heard something unless he steps in late minute for someone, but I don't think he will. So I say sometime maybe March 2025, February to April range, do Buckley versus Usman. Make it like a co-main or a feature fight of a pay-per-view. This is a great fight. It's a fun fight. It makes sense for Usman. Buckley, I'm guessing, is going to be ranked like 8 or 9 on Tuesday. So, yeah, I mean, Usman's going to be fighting down, but he hasn't really been that active, and it just makes sense. And you don't have to just throw yourself to the wolves by fighting Shavkat or JDM. You're still fighting a young up-and-coming prospect who's on a win streak, but it's a little less of high stakes. It's a bit of a better situation for Usman, maybe to present a comeback, and I don't know. But this is a fun fight. It's winnable for Buckley, which is fucking insane. If you asked me 2 years ago if I ever thought there was a world where Joaquin Buckley could ever beat Kamaru Usman, I would have said, go fuck yourself. But I literally don't know who I'd pick to win this fight, as crazy as that is. Circumstances are important and context is important, obviously, but I mean, this would be a primarily striking bout, I think, too. I mean, both these guys have shown that they can wrestle, especially Usman. Buckley lately has been just like, that's why I like that Buckley just got this knockout, because I feel like he was kind of getting recognized by fans as turning slowly more and more into like a grappler, and there's nothing wrong with that, but like, I like that Buckley's like this middle ground right now. Like, if you want to strike, he could knock you out. He ain't gonna submit you, but he can take you down. He can implement ground and pound. He can get you in the clinch, like shit like that. Like, I like how Buckley's becoming more of like a good, balanced, well-rounded fighter, more than just relying on one thing. And that presents big challenges to Usman, which I like. I mean, this is, again, it's gonna be competitive. It's gonna be fun. I say book this for like March or April next year. Up next, let's get this one out of the way. We got Juliana Peña, the new champ, the new fucking champ. Shoot me, dude. Kayla Harrison. Yeah, this is the fight to make next. I mean, from the second we saw the co-main announced and we saw Harrison versus Vera announced, I think we knew that the UFC was trying to set this up. I had Pennington winning last night. I had 3-2, but also I was kind of only half watching, so take that with a grain of salt. This was my I'm gonna go eat snacks and take a piss kind of fight, with all due respect. I don't know, but Peña's the champ. Fucking crazy. What do I say? Because these were both such underwhelming performances last night. Like, the Peña fight with Pennington, like, it was okay. I definitely thought it was going to be awful, but it was all right. There was like a couple moments, but it still was just not good. The division is a snooze fest right now, man. And Harrison is such a breath of fresh air. Her performance wasn't that great herself, but I think Vera is a lot bigger of a test than Holly Holm, so fair play. She's good on the mic and she has personality, and it's just like it's gonna be refreshing when we have like a women's title co-main that's not Zhang Weili that I can look at and be like, oh, like there we go. That's something. That's kind of worthy-ish. Not really, but still, they're fucking throwing us a bone here. Juliana Peña, man, just so annoying, bro. I'm so sorry. And in the cage as well, like, I don't know. I just think Harrison's gonna beat her up, and like when I see Peña versus Harrison announced, I'm not gonna be like dreading it because it's Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison is carrying the women's divisions right now, dude. More specifically the bantamweight division. I gotta give my respect to the girls like Grasso, Shevchenko, Sean, Rose, whatever the fuck. But this division just needs something. And the fact that Peña called out Amanda Nunes afterwards for the trilogy was fucking embarrassing. Anyways, moving on. Again, not much to say about that. So moving on to Roman Dolidze. Who do you give him after his kind of a weird fight against Kevin Holland last night? You give him Brendan Allen, in my opinion. Dolidze right now is ranked number 10. Allen is number 8. So book it. More of like a title eliminator bout for each guy. See who's going to be in that top 10 and see who's going to be kind of like slightly booted out. Is this going to be the most entertaining fight? Probably not, to be honest. No disrespect to both guys. But I feel like it just makes sense ranking-wise. It makes sense when you look at the matchup, where both of these guys are at right now. Brendan Allen obviously just lost to Imavov really recently. Dolidze coming off a win, but Dolidze, you know, it's not like he's on some crazy streak. I'm going to pull up his record real quick. Yeah, so Dolidze lost to Imavov. I can't believe that was this February. It feels like so much longer than this, but he lost to Imavov. There you go. So, see, they both lost to Imavov. There you go. Match them up next to each other, but the difference is Dolidze has 2 wins since then. Brendan's fresh off of it, but I would like to see Dolidze with his improving striking, because Dolidze's striking has been improving. You know, there was a time where it was not that great, but it's been slowly getting there without relying as much just on the power. So the striking's been improving. Obviously, his grappling game is there. I want to see how that kind of matches up against someone like Allen, who, as much as Dolidze can kind of hold his own on the ground, and he's got power, and he can, you know, implement the takedowns well, get you into the clinch. But Allen is just such a machine on the ground. And I want to see how he bounces back after a loss, because he had a good win streak going there for a while. And I want to see how he bounces back from this one. I feel like this would just be like an Apex main event. It's just kind of like the vibe of it. It's not as bad as like Martin Tybura versus Sergey Spivak. It's not that bad, because, you know, it's an intriguing matchup to some regards, but I don't know. Dolidze versus Allen. And finally, we're going to be talking about Alex Pereira versus Ankalaev. Or Rakic. I'd add or Rakic. I feel like everyone is just talking about Ankalaev kind of being next for the belt now, that we're forgetting that, you know, Rakic can totally get this fucking win. It's just not going to be an easy win or a walk-off KO or a 50-45 for Ankalaev incoming. So that's why I have both these guys up here. I don't know. I think Ankalaev's going to take it. Not to talk too much about that fight itself. Obviously, that's coming up in a couple weeks. But Rakic, by all means, like, if Rakic wins, then give him Pereira, and if Ankalaev wins, then give him Pereira. The difference between Ankalaev and Rakic is that Ankalaev already is on kind of like this long winning streak, 8-9 fights, and then you have Rakic, who was on a good streak, but then lost to Prochazka, and now this is his bounce back fight, so he's still in it. I mean, Rakic looked like the best light heavyweight in the world in that first round against Yuri, and then obviously we saw how the second round went, but I mean, Rakic is still in this, not an old guy. Neither is Ankalaev. Like, that's going to be a good fight. And then I say book whoever wins that. It doesn't matter. I mean, if Ankalaev loses, then Jesus Christ, that's going to be so fucking tough for him, man. But it is what it is. Pereira obviously is going to want to stay active. But he's fought 3 times this year. Defended a title 3 times this year. So give him a little bit of rest. I say book this for maybe like February, March, April. Preferably more of like that March, April range. I feel like that makes sense. I like that Pereira wants to stay at light heavyweight. I thought if you get DDP versus Pereira, I think if that fight happens at light heavyweight, Pereira's going to win. If you get that fight at middleweight, I think DDP's going to win. I do. I think Pereira's chin just doesn't hold up as well as it does at light heavyweight comparatively to middleweight. So, wait, I hope I said that right. I mean, yeah, Pereira's chin, it just can't last as well down there. I think the weight cut is just too fucking big. So, I like these staying at light heavyweight. I'm glad he's not going up to heavyweight because that division is just in a log jam with Jones, Miocic, and Aspinall. They got to figure all that shit out. The last thing they need right now is throw Pereira and all that just to make it even more confusing or delayed. Like, they got to heavyweight division has to figure itself out for a while. So yeah, I like that Pereira is staying here at this weight class. And either way, it's gonna be a really intriguing fight. I mean, Alex, I had him around like my 13 to 15 range in terms of like top whatever fighters of all time, but he's definitely top 10 now, man. I mean, I know that Rountree isn't the, biggest name. He was ranked number 8, and resume-wise and name-wise, obviously, Strickland, Adesanya, Yuri, Hill, like, all these guys and more, like, they're bigger names and bigger challenges, I mean, on paper, but dude, like, Rountree totally fucking proved himself. And the fact that he made Pereira fight such adversity is what makes this win matter a lot, because we got to see Pereira, like, this win matters more for Alex's legacy the way that it played out versus as if he just went out there and knocked him out in a round, because then you're just proving everybody right, and then you're like, oh yeah, like, Rountree didn't even stand a fucking chance, like, of course, like, they just gave Pereira an easy win. Like, no, like, Rountree proves for himself why he belongs in the top 10, top 5, why he belonged to fight for the fucking belt. And he went out there and did that and gained a lot of stock. And he won rounds 1 and 2. Round was a bit debatable, but he won rounds 1 and 2. And he was tough to put out. Even in round 4, when Alex eventually did get the KO, like, Rountree was still fucking swinging. He couldn't even see out the whatever side of his face, and he's just still going ham. And then Alex just got him boom, boom with the body shots and just took him down. I mean, it looked rough. It was one of those, like, finishes that kind of made me, like, I'm watching it, I'm, like, kind of, like, cringing. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, because it's like, oh, my, it's just brutal, dude. But Rountree fucking hung in there, and the fact that he gave Alex such adversity, made this fight go to the 4th round, which I don't think any of us expected. Like, I feel like that does more for Pereira's legacy, showing that Pereira can go the distance. Pereira, I mean, we kind of knew this, but he proved it even more last night, that, like, he gets better as the fight progresses. We saw it in the first Izzy fight, and we saw it against Blachowicz. Obviously a shorter fight, but he hung on there, and Pereira's got a fucking gas tank, and he just has that championship grit and experience, and he just adjusted to Rountree and his game plan and his style, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And he adapted, and he shows why he's the champ, dude. And Rountree made it fucking competitive. It was one of the best fights of the year. Round 4 was insane. Pereira's just carrying this company right now, dude. I mean, you got Diego Lopez, Joaquin Buckley, Renato Moicano, like, these guys that have fought 3 times this year, won 3 times this year against ranked guys. But Alex is doing that, but with defending the belt against, like, former champs. Not Rountree, but, I mean, Christ. I mean, this guy's fight of the year. He is the star right now. He is the star, and what more can I say about him? Christ. Thank you guys so very much for watching. These are the fights that I would make next. I didn't talk about what to do with Kevin Holland because Holland's kind of all over the place, and he's in between 2 divisions. So, I mean, if I had to give anybody to Holland, I would say do Vicente Luque, but I didn't mention that because I know they're trying to do that shit with Nick Diaz, as stupid as that is. Otherwise, I would have said Luque versus Holland, but whatever, that's beyond me, guys. Thank you so very much for watching All the Smoke MMA. UFC 307, kind of a stinker of a card, but we have 308 coming up. We have really good fight nights these next 2 weeks, so October is still stacked. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with these fights being made, and I will see you guys next time.